I think the prime minister absolutely wants to do that. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. The Middle East remains on edge, waiting to see if the war will resume in the days ahead. Overnight, President Trump taking to Truth Social with a new warning for the regime. He said for Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. The president's post comes as reports indicate the Iranians have submitted a revised proposal to Pakistani mediators aimed at addressing some of the gaps in their previous response that President Trump described as a piece of garbage.
Therefore, from the very day after we sent our points to the American side via
so pretty much due to the demands of the Iranian delegation, because I can show you right here, it's actually pretty crazy what they're asking for. And it's, you know what, for some of y'all it will be reasonable, for some of you you're gonna be like, absolutely not. But here's Iran's demands on the quick side. They want a full ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon. All sanctions lifted, aka they're going to get billions of dollars back. Frozen assets released, they're going to get billions back. War damages paid. They want reparation, and the U.S. recognizes Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz. And man, they get reparations. I swear to God, the FBA guys, we will never hear the end of it. Like I promise you. Why did Iran get reparations? Yeah, we're not going for that. But here's the U.S. demands from Iran. Is pretty much zero compensation, so we're not giving them anything. They hand over their 400 kilograms of enriched uranium. They only get one nuclear facility, no frozen assets release, and ceasefire only if talks go well. So that's pretty much where things are pretty much standing right now. And if you ask me, yeah, it kind of does look like we're going to have to go back to kinetic strikes to see if we can actually make, Iran concede to anything that we're asking right now, because it doesn't look like they are. But all right, though, let's get right back into it. Whoops, here. Let's make sure I didn't lose my place. And here we go.
Pakistan, we were faced with a series of proposals from the other side, which have been reviewed over the past few days. As was announced yesterday, our own views have in turn been conveyed to the American side.
While diplomatic efforts play out, the economic situation in Iran is getting worse each day due to the ongoing U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. CENTCOM says more than 80 commercial vessels have been redirected and 4 were disabled to enforce the blockade. A senior Israeli official told Fox News that early signs are developing of a fuel crisis in Iran, with long lines at gas stations being observed. It's getting exponentially worse, the official added.
The economic situation is very, very bad. I mean, for 3 months now, the situation has completely deteriorated. Ever since these protests happened and the dollar price went up. Then, after the war started, the shop was basically closed for nearly a month. And now the situation is extremely bad.
The U.S. military buildup across the region does continue, with more transport planes arriving here each day. Guys?
Wow. So they're building.
Yeah, here's the worst part about that blockade is that Iran, they can still get their oil through. And here's the thing. I mean, hey, bro, that's complete propaganda. Let me tell you why it's complete propaganda as I show you this map again of how Iran is getting through this blockade. Like, once again, we just, hone in on Iran right here. As you can see, this body of water, the Caspian Sea right here, connected to Russia. And then, of course, you got their pals over here in Pakistan that connects somewhere right to China. So this blockade over here in the Strait of Hormuz doesn't really keep them from getting to their main buyers. And that's just the fact of the matter right there. So that's why I always do say that, yeah, this whole blockade is low-key a waste of time and a waste of resources, but hey, it is what it is. This is what we're doing.
Building up, so the firepower is even greater than they had before the initial war. So you got to think, with no talks on tap, that Trey, I think it looks like we're probably going to go back unless something amazing happens.
Yeah, unless there's a breakthrough, we are likely looking at a situation where the region returns to war. President Trump holds the cards here, according to regional officials who say that his strategic patience has given him not only the upper hand on the battlefield, but also at the negotiating table. Now, the Iranians, as you heard from the foreign ministry spokesperson earlier today, are grasping at straws. They are trying to find some path forward that would give them an agreement, at least temporarily, to enter into deeper negotiations to avoid such a bombing campaign that the president has promised would target Iran's power plants and bridges. When you look at the backdrop of the economic situation inside of Iran, it is truly dire. 50% decline in the extraction of crude oil, 90% decline in the export rate for the Iranian regime. And you're starting to see it domestically. That pressure is rising on the regime in Tehran, and officials there are having to try.
But here's a problem. One, like I said, they can still get through the blockade. Two, our own intelligence said that they can last out to about 6 months. And three, what makes you think that they're just going to wait? If anything, they're going to start attacking our allies to make us lift the blockade. I mean, they've already done it with the UAE. They started, I believe, they're probably going to be blamed for the strike on their nuclear power plant. Most likely, because it's most likely them who did it.
To sell a reality to the people that doesn't exist. They were defeated militarily during Operation Epic Fury, and the president has indicated there are a variety of targets on the table if this war does resume.
Go get him, Trey. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube. And
oh, guys, let's make sure we beat the shadow ban by double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. And also, if you can go ahead and move over to either Rumble or Kick, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chat here. But yes, if you can help me beat the censorship by building up the audience on Kick or Rumble, where they don't censor and you'll always get my notifications, that'd be a great help. But let's keep it going. All right, here, let's make, oh, like I said, double tap that screen.
This morning, President Trump with a new threat to Iran, warning time is running out to reach a peace deal. Trump saying, quote, they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. The president posting what appear to be AI-generated images of him pressing a red button with explosions and a mushroom cloud on the screens around.
Which is wild. Pretty much like a space station. Like, yo, pretty much telling Iran, like, yo, we can hit you guys from the sky. We can hit you with satellite beams because apparently that we got those.
Him. Oil price.
Yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't too far off from the Jewish space lasers. Like, okay.
Prices rising overnight after a drone strike on a nuclear plant in the United Arab Emirates. Gas prices here at home now averaging around $4.50 a gallon. Republicans acknowledging little can be done to lower prices beyond reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
As soon as we get that straightened out, we will get back to the kitchen table issues, the economic issues that we put in place to make the economy grow.
The war and its...
But here's the problem. Because you guys started off this war, now helping out with affordability is going to take a whole lot longer. Now it's going to take forever for gas prices to fall. And I mean, that's going to include all the inflation as well, because the sad thing about it is that inflation and gas prices go up fast, but they fall down slow. So this whole, helping out with affordability, you guys have pretty much pushed it. Well, you've pushed the date down. Now you've extended the timeline for how long the American people will be dealing with this because of this war.
Economic toll have damaged the president's approval ratings, but his sway within the Republican Party remains strong.
When you participate in democracy, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to.
Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, who frequently clashed with Trump, lost his primary over the weekend, coming in third place. Cassidy voted to remove Trump from office after the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Trump this weekend saying of Cassidy, his disloyalty to the man who got him elected is now part of legend, and it's nice to see his political career is over.
Our country is not about one individual.
Like I said, it does show the power of the Trump endorsement, but I always do say, hopefully Trump don't get too cocky, because that endorsement can easily turn to a scarlet letter. Like APAC funding.
About the welfare of all Americans, and it is about our Constitution.
Tomorrow, there's another closely watched primary involving a Trump foe, Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky. His race is now the most expensive House primary race in U.S. history.
It's because 3 billionaires from outside of Kentucky have funneled millions of dollars in here. They're trying to buy a seat.
stronger than the accuser of the brother.
Meanwhile, thousands gathered on the National Mall for a prayer rally yesterday that included speakers from the Trump administration. Critics saying the event blurred the lines between church and state and lacked non-Christian representation. President Trump, who read a Bible verse in a pre-recorded video, has accused the federal government of anti-Christian bias. At the rally, Vice President Vance celebrated.
I mean, come on now. That's the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, look how you guys are with the Muslims. Don't sit there and judge now because the focus is on y'all. Like, let's be fair here. If you're going to judge Muslims, then people are going to judge Christians. I told you, you guys will be next.
The trend of more young people attending church, saying that should give all of us hope.
Oh, wow. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the next video. And make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen or smashing that like button. And like I said, if you could follow me on Rumble or Kick, that'd be great. Let's go.
Yeah, I think we're at an inflection point right now. And look, the United States military has done significant damage to Iran's drone capabilities, their ballistic missile sites, as well as their nuclear program. What we haven't done so far is change the regime's behavior. We have not induced them to begin negotiating in good faith over a long-term solution to what concerned us about the JCPOA, and that is their nuclear program, the stored highly enriched uranium that we need to gain access to and remove from Iran, their ballistic missiles.
That we need to put boots on the ground for. So if we can't do it through diplomatic means, which Iran's pretty much saying that, well, if you want to do that, we're going to have to wait for 5 to 10 years of a non-aggression treaty, and then they'll consider giving it to us. But as of now, Iran's pretty much claiming that they're going to keep that 60% enrichment, aka we're going to have to go in there and get it, guys. And that's just the sad reality of it, if we actually care about getting it.
Missile program and their support to proxy terrorists. Ultimately, that's how the Trump administration's military campaign against Iran will be judged. And of course, Iran has disrupted the flow of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. We also need to gain escalation dominance there. So I'm sure the president is huddling with his advisors and receiving intelligence reports.
That's the key word right there, escalation dominance, which the generals have been telling Trump that we don't have. And the problem is, well, we can't have escalation dominance when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz because we're not willing to cut the internet cables. Like, we're not willing to destroy allies. Well, I'm gonna be real with you, Iranian allies in the region, aka Russia and China. We're not willing to do that. But here's the thing: Iran is willing to cut internet cables, to cut off internet in the entire region. They are willing to destroy energy infrastructure throughout the Gulf region if we escalate things with them. So aka they have escalation dominance. Like, they're willing to do things that, well, we're not.
Reports from Director CIA Ratcliffe about Iran's negotiating strategy, their plans, their intentions, their pain points. And I'm sure that military strikes are on the table. I would not be surprised if we continue to look at decapitation strikes. Perhaps those are the most likely to induce a change in this regime's behavior.
Yeah, you know, Dan, when you hear from Iranian officials right now, they're saying that they want guarantees from the United States, even before entering into negotiations, that the U.S. recognizes Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. So it sounds like right now they don't just want to survive this.
And I'm sorry, but do you know how emboldened the regime got to be to even make that type of demand? They got to be pretty damn emboldened to sit there and tell us to our face, like, yeah, and guess what? You're also going to let us keep the Strait of Hormuz too. Like, we're going to, yep, that's right. We're going to start charging people. We're going to go collect reparations through that. Don't worry, we'll split it with Oman, but we will be controlling the Strait. And that's something that's completely unacceptable because it wasn't like that before the war. So if that's an outcome of this war, complete disaster. And Trump cannot allow it to end like this, even though that just might be the best thing, sadly.
Or they want to benefit, they want to gain from it. So what do you think the calculation is in Iran, inside Iran right now?
Well, I think right now, and that's a key question to be asking, because we do need to try to see the world through the eyes of these Iranian IRGC leaders, specifically General Vahidi, who is leading, by all accounts, the country right now. In spite of the fact that there's a new Ayatollah. The key for Iran is how they perceive their actions against the United States. They clearly believe that there's a threat, a domestic threat from protesters, and so they're going to suppress that and violate the human rights of their own population. They need to appear strong against the United States. They also want to appear to be the face of resistance to gain more support from among their proxy terrorist groups like the Houthis, who continue to be engaged against our Gulf allies in the region, and Hezbollah, not to mention Hamas and proxy Shia militant groups in Iraq. So I think that's behind some of Iran's bluster, and they're probing the United States. They want.
Yeah, that is true. That's why they won't give up their proxies, because it is a strategic advantage at the end of the day. And I mean, if you don't know where Iran proxies are, I mean, let's get back over here to this map. And if you wonder what the lines are, yeah, these are the internet cables, especially under here. These internet cables under here that Iran could cut, at any moment. This is what we don't want. But as you see, yes, Iran has military, well, I would say proxy forces in Iraq. They have proxy forces in Lebanon, proxy forces in basically Israel, aka Gaza, and then they have proxy forces in Yemen. And Yemen, these guys are, well, what are they? They're the Houthis in Yemen. There's Hezbollah in Lebanon, and then there's Hamas in Gaza. And then I think they're like the PRC or something like that in Iraq. I'm not really sure too much of the name of the Iraqi ones, but they're there. They are there. All right, let's get back to it. And don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Do appreciate the support, by the way. So let's get back to it. Oh, whoops.
To reduce or eliminate altogether U.S. influence in the Middle East.
Yeah, and on Friday, the president announced a major action in Nigeria. He announced that U.S. and Nigerian forces killed the second in command of ISIS globally, saying on X, though he thought he could hide in Africa, but little did he know we had sources who kept us informed on what he was doing. What does that do for our ongoing war on terror? And also, what message could that possibly send in a situation like Iran?
Well, I think very notable counterterrorism operation where we partnered with our Nigerian government forces, armed forces, and so they're a force multiplier for our worldwide counterterrorism efforts. This guy we targeted, Abu Bilal al-Munaki, he was a very senior, reportedly the #2 leader of ISIS. And so we are going to be disrupting plots, not just in Western Africa, but globally by striking him. It demonstrates that we have the intelligence capability to find and fix the location of terrorist leaders and take the fight to the enemy. We're not deploying hundreds of thousands of troops to Africa. We're just eliminating a terrorist threat, and that's a great success.
Yeah, the president says the clock is ticking, and we will all be watching, as we always do. Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman. Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully they can reach some type of diplomatic means. I did hear that they sent a revised proposal through Pakistan, so we'll see what revisions were made. Well, maybe I can actually look it up right now and see if they've actually posted it. But in the meantime, let's get over into News Nation, guys. I know we got a long news segment ahead of us, so make sure you double tap that screen and like the video, guys, because we're still going through a shadow ban. So I appreciate those who are sticking in with me, but make sure you guys double tap that screen and smash that like button, and make sure to also follow me on Kick or Rumble, guys. We got to fight the censorship here.
This is new this morning. Iran announcing plans to once again allow commercial shipping in and out of the Hormuz Strait. This comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran are continuing with no broader agreement yet in place. With us now, News Nation international correspondent Robert Sherman in Doha. Good morning from New York.
I mean, when Iran's out here asking for reparations and complete control of the Strait of Hormuz, I'll be real with you. I can't even blame Trump for sending them the denial. I'm pretty sure that was probably at the top of the list, because Trump said he read the first letter and he was like, man, get that shit out of here. I'm pretty sure at the top of that list was, yeah, Iran will control the Strait of Hormuz. He was like, oh, yeah, nope, it's dead. Nope, get that out of here. And I can respect that.
New York, my friend. Tell us more about the latest posting. And of course, what's the latest out of Iran?
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. Well, the national security chief for Iran's parliament framing this as a means of being able to get ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Though it gets a little bit more complicated than just that. They say that there's going to be a route that will be unveiled in order for ships to transit through. But listen to the words of this Iranian official who said that in this process, only commercial vessels and parties cooperating with Iran will benefit from it. The necessary fees will be collected for the specialized services provided under this mechanism. This route will remain closed to the operators of the so-called.
Nah. That is wild. Okay, so let's just go through this. So in this process, only commercial vessels and parties cooperating with Iran will benefit from it. So pretty much they're saying they're going to shut it down to everybody but those who support Iran. And pretty much is getting down with the new law of the law of the water, law of the sea, I guess. All right, let's get right back into it. The necessary fees will be collected for the specialized service provided under this mechanism. This route will remain closed to the operators of the so-called oh wow, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, that was just funny though. But this route will remain closed to the operators of the so-called Project Freedom. Or Freedom Project. Yeah, aka you guys who are shutting down the strait. Yeah, those who align with the US, you guys will not be allowed through this pretty much controlled route through the Strait of Hormuz. And everybody who isn't aligned and who's pretty much paying their fees will be allowed through. Aka the Strait of Hormuz isn't closed, really, is just restricted.
Freedom Project. So making clear this is not going to be open to American ships or allies of the United States. But you also have that line in there, the necessary fees. Certainly sounds an awful lot like tolling, which is a move that has been condemned not just by the Western world of the international community, but also by some of Iran's allies, such as China, who said they do not support the imposition of fees or tolls on ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, saying that would be a violation of freedom of navigation. This is illustrative of the gridlock that we are currently in right now between both of these sides during this negotiating process, with the president saying he's been none too thrilled with the most recent proposals that have come from the Iranian side, and Iran not backing down from its positions. The nuclear issue and their ability to generate nuclear products remains centerfold in this whole discussion here, Henna. And at this point, neither side giving the indication they're prepared to make any compromises on that front, while Pakistan remains hopeful that they can get both sides back to the negotiating table. And there's talks of progress that has taken place since the last meetings in Islamabad. Still very clearly some gaps that have yet to be bridged.
Robert, as all of this is happening, we're also learning more about the capture and extradition to the U.S. of Mohammed Bakr Saad Daawud al-Saadi. Talk a little about how the story is sparking new fears of Iran using proxy groups beyond the Mideast. You actually warned about this months ago when this conflict even started.
And al-Saadi was picked up in Turkey by Turkish officials who were there and then extradited back to the United States. That's one element of all of this, transiting outside of the Middle Eastern proper region. But then also his involvement with groups, alleged involvement with groups such as Kataib Hezbollah, which is an Iranian proxy that operates out of Iraq. When you listen to the formal complaint that was issued by the Department of Justice, what they say is that they allege that al-Saadi discussed attacking locations in New York, California, and Arizona and presented a serious threat to our national security. They also said that he was involved in the attempt and coordination of 20 attacks throughout Europe and the United States. This is the big element here, Henna, is exactly how far the reach Iran's proxies have, with most of these groups reporting back to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in particular. Hezbollah itself operates out of Lebanon. You have Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq. You have the Houthis in Yemen. But the bigger fear is that exactly what kind of satellite operations do these groups have in Europe, the United States, and elsewhere, something that keeps many security groups around the globe on guard. Henna?
No doubt about that. Robert Sherman, live in Doha. Robert, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the blowback that we're talking about. Pretty much this Iran war is going to have blowback with these proxy groups in the region, and possibly with some influence in America, aka, I guess the Iranian sleeper cells. But all right, let's go ahead and get into foreign media here, or international media with Al Jazeera, guys. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Like I said, double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in on the conversation. Appreciate the support. And any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements, feel free to super chat it in.
We'll get moving. That's US President Donald Trump's latest message to Iran as talks to end the conflict remain deadlocked. Trump posted on social media saying, for Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast. or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says mediation efforts through Pakistan are ongoing.
We received from the Pakistani mediator some reservations and some amendments, which means that after sending our viewpoint to America through Pakistan, we have received some amendments from the United States. We discussed these matters and these things and these amendments, and we have informed them yesterday with our position. We have sent them our viewpoint. This path is ongoing through the Pakistani mediator.
Tawhid S.E.T joins us from Iran's Bandar.
So, yeah, we're pretty much waiting to see what the revised positions are from the Pakistani mediator, because I'm pretty sure Pakistan went to Iran and said, all right, bro, you guys are tripping. There's no way America's going to agree to this. You might have to concede on something. And Iran, I don't know, they will be willing to concede on, reparations, but they're most likely going to want the control of the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to give up on that. They're not giving up their enrichment nor their proxies. So, yeah, the only real concession I can see them giving up, probably would be what was it I was talking about? What was the last thing? Hold on here.
Bas, a port city that overlooks the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
Tawhid, what else did we hear from the foreign ministry spokesperson?
Well, actually, we heard from him touching upon a wide spectrum of different topics, but the gist of the matter is based on
they'll probably give up reparations, because they can still get the reparations through their fees to the Strait of Hormuz. So they can probably give that up. If anything, they can give that up. But what they won't give up is, the no frozen assets. They won't give up they won't give up the release of their frozen assets. They won't give up on the sanctions. But war damages paid, though, they can give up on that. And of course, they're not going to give up on us recognizing them as the administrator of the Strait of Hormuz. Like, Lord knows they're not giving up that. So that's why we might actually have to go back to kinetic strikes to see if we can get Iran to give up on that.
Two-sided message, while the country is saying that the doors for diplomacy remains ajar and the diplomatic engagement mediated by Islamabad is going on. On the other hand, we know that they're talking about a rhetoric based on fingers on the trigger and readiness for another round of confrontation as tensions, as tensions run high, not only when it comes to the situation here at the Strait of Hormuz, but also in a broader context. We know that there are so many sticking points out there when it comes to Iran's demands related to the war reparation, and most importantly, the security assurances that Tehran is looking for to make sure that it's not going to get into the trap of another round of unexpected confrontation, as it happened 2 times over the past less than a year, I may say. But speaking of what we heard from the spokesperson, he talked about the regional hostility, and on that he said, quote unquote, we have no hostility with regional countries. We are permanent neighbors, he said. And also he warned against a potentiality of external factors at work. And he also called the regional countries to take lessons, in particular UAE, from the course of events that took place over the past 2-3 months.
Toad, you're obviously there overlooking the Strait of Hormuz. Has there been any new developments in the recent hours in regards to that?
Well, the situation here is very much similar to the diplomatic standoff between Tehran and Washington. And what we hear from security sources is based on 3 messages. They're saying that the strait is closed to our adversaries, but open to neighboring and friendly countries. Also, they're saying that no military ships and vessels are allowed to transit through the trajectory of this geostrategically significant choke point. And last but not least, they are putting emphasis that any transiting, any passage should be coordinated with the IRGC. And I'm going to step aside to show you
and like I said, part of their demands was for the U.S. to recognize that Iran's going to start controlling the strait. And what they're pretty much saying to other countries is that, look, if you guys recognize this now, you can go ahead and go get through the strait and just say F what the United States talking about. But those of you guys who are, participating in this whole project or operation Project Freedom, yeah, you guys will pretty much remain on the outside. But apparently Iran has already cleared a route, ready for anybody who's willing to pay the fees and bend the knee.
Situation here as
And if America recognizes this, then we're also going to be paying the fees and bending the knee.
Can kindly show us on the horizon. You can see in the Bandar Abbas southern coast number of ships and vessels here, most of them belonging to the Iranian side. But going deeper, we can actually see many more other international ships and vessels in that regard under this situation. We heard from the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs talking about the importance of the strait and talking about very much important, a mechanism that Iran tries to implement. He said that we are in continuous contact with Oman and other relevant parties negotiating the establishment of a mechanism to achieve this goal. Also, he touched upon the reasons about the courses of action that Iran is taking at the Strait of Hormuz. He said that what Tehran is doing has got a legal background and legal justification in that regard, seeing the quote-unquote aggressions by different countries on Iran. Meanwhile, he criticized the coordination of some of the regional countries when it comes to conducting it.
All right, but check this out, guys, because apparently we're trying to get UAE involved in this conflict with us, even though they're going to end up getting themselves effed up because Iran can easily just start taking out their enemy infrastructure. But the UAE, they're going to play a strong face. They're going to sit there and pretend like they're going to get involved, but they're not. Why? Because they know that Iran will completely decimate them and all their infrastructure, their water desalination centers, and that place would pretty much be unlivable. So the UAE is going to put up a strong front, but I would be so surprised, and I would literally call them idiotic for stepping into this war any further. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get into this analysis right here. And let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
Moving on, a major new twist is now emerging in the widening conflict between Iran, the United States, and Israel. Reports now suggest that Washington is quietly encouraging the United Arab Emirates to take a far more direct role in the war, according to